have Drew, who is a life code 9. Got lots of life code 9s. Okay, so Drew wants to protect her family, but also lead her own life, and is unsure about whether to move out of her current situation. Okay, so we have Drew, and then we have the sister, who again is a life code 9. Okay, and then we have the mother, who is a life code 3. Okay, so interesting. We've got double 9, so we've got siblings who are a double 9, and we'll have a look as to what that means as an explosion, so to speak, of the unconscious. What does it mean and how that reflects?
Welcome to the Sensitive Mind Show.
Your purpose in life as a sensitive is to experience the deeper parts of the mind, to move beyond fear and to manage your energy, no matter the circumstance. I'm going to show you, as a sensitive, how you can maximize your talents and feel comfortable in your own skin. For show notes and to join the conversation, visit HeidiSawyer.com/mind.
What has Drew told us? Okay, I am torn between living my independent life and living with my parents and taking care of them and my niece and nephew. I work part-time and I'm still taking my PhD and taking care of my parents and my sister's children for the exchange of having meals. I am exhausted but cannot afford either living a separated or independent life, while studying and working part-time. Okay, so what's the problem the situation creates? I have no time to fully concentrate on finishing my PhD because I have to nurture my 6-year-old nephew since he was born. Leaving him in my parents' care is impossible because they are old and there is a real and present danger from a neighbour across the street who is known to have an inappropriate interest in young children. Okay, so what is the question that Drew wants me to answer? Should I move out of my parents' house, bearing the fear for my nephew being targeted, as I was when I was 5 years old? Okay, so Drew is asking, how does she keep her family safe, but also do the right thing by herself? Okay, so what do we have? Okay, I've already put them on the board. So we have a double life code 9. I think this is an important thing to have a look at. We've got siblings who are life code 9. So when you've got 2 life code 9s who are that close as family members, there's going to be a charge between that. There's going to be a charge about responsibility and blame. Responsibility and blame is going to be a big charge between. One's going to be responsible, one's going to be blamed. All of that kind of stuff going on. There will be a big charge between 2 life code 9s who are siblings. Then we have a 3. Okay, now we have the 3 who is the mother. So a mother 3. So it intensifies the 3 energy. So 3s are really patient. They wait, and their waiting can go into procrastination. But if you then double that as the mother, so especially a mother overseeing 2 life code 9s, that's going to have an interesting dynamic. That's going to be really intensified. So what you can have as far as this is concerned, especially with 2 9s where their energy is in conflict, then you have an unaware 3 who will show a massive amount of attention when it suits them, and then will ignore the rest of the time. Okay, and then quite often in that, especially with 2 9s, you're going to have a whole big barrel of tension as far as sibling rivalry is concerned. And then you're going to have a life code 3 mother who's going to say either it's all my fault or I have nothing to do with it. It's their problem, not mine. Okay, so let's have a little look as far as this is concerned, okay, in how Drew has ended up in this situation, because, you know, she's asking actually about her mother. Well, my parents can't look after my niece and nephew. Well, how come the sister isn't there to provide that mother dynamic, where Drew's actually feeling that she has to take on the responsibility? Okay, so and I've just had a look in terms of birth dates. That will be because Drew is the elder sibling. Okay, so we will have definitely a functionality where the parent sees the elder child as the one who has to be responsible. Okay, so the responsibility falls purely with Drew, and then the younger sibling will be let off. So let's have a look and see how that pans out. Okay, so we're going to have a look at Drew first, feeling this line of responsibility. Okay, so we have the lover for Drew. So what we'll find most likely is that her own kindness sometimes lets her down, as in it's taken huge amounts of advantage of. Okay, so we'll have a look as far as that's concerned. Let's see what the sister's up to. Why the sister isn't being protective and overseeing the dangers as far as her own child is concerned. Let's have a look. We've got the scribe, which is interesting. How that would show in this particular scenario is, I would say that the sister is really good at gaining pieces of information and then using it against Drew's kindness. So that will have eroded Drew's sense of self-worth over a long period of time, which is how she's then ended up being responsible for these two children, and the sister gets off that lightly, I suspect. Let's see what the mother's involvement is. Okay, big pile. Let's have a look. Okay, so we've got a visionary. So I would say in this particular dynamic, the mother sees herself as the authority, as in the visionary is, well, this is how it should be. This is the dynamic of how it should look, or how things are. This is how things are. The elder child is the responsible one, has to take the responsibility. The younger one doesn't have that sense of responsibility. So what's happening, I would say, is that the mother does have a vision, so to speak, as in she knows full well if Drew's not there, then the sister isn't going to look after the mother, the parents. So partly it's been sold to Drew that her kindness is needed, but at the same time, if you leave, you will be removed, your worth will be removed from the family, because they will be deeply resentful of the fact that she's not there. Okay, so a difficult situation, a difficult scenario, very difficult situation, very difficult scenario. So I would say it's not necessarily about the nephew and the younger children. It's actually about the mother's tactics to keep Drew there. And she's using these particular tactics to keep her there, in that they're all vulnerable without her being there. And that if she's to leave, she can expect to be made to feel guilty for as long as the mother lives, and the sister no longer wants to take responsibility. So how do you solve this? How do you get into this position of solving this? Well, I suspect that Drew could gain the courage in order to face it if she felt that her sister was more inclined to take care of her own children. So let's have a look and see how, because this is the clash of the titans, I should imagine at some point or another, the two life code 9s, that if Drew started handing more responsibility to her sister, how would that would that operate, and that she stopped being quite so amenable, quite so nice, quite so kind, what would happen as far as that's concerned? So let's have a look if that was to be the case. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, we have the mentor. So there's a possibility. There is a possibility that the sister would actually step up as far as that's concerned if Drew started to hand that level of responsibility over. And that really what's going on as far as the sister is concerned is that she hasn't a clue. And I suspect that's because the mother has been a character through their lives, which has been that they've kind of had to fend fend for themselves, which is why Drew doesn't trust the situation if she leaves that dynamic, that her nephew wouldn't have to, fend for himself. Okay, so if Drew then had more of an inclination to spend the time with her sister and spend some time giving her some gentle guidance on how to take care of her own children without the mother creating this division, and the reason that she's doing it is to make sure that Drew stays, that if she then worked to develop that relationship with her sister would be actually more amenable to that and more willing to do that than she expects. And then Drew would have a clearer view and in her own confidence of being able to leave that situation when the time comes. So, what can we learn from that? Well, it's not always the person who presents in our life as the authority over us isn't necessarily always right, even though they have portrayed that over perhaps a long period of time. And a parent, okay, it's locked into us, it's bred into us that we have to trust them as our authority for our entire life often, that actually sometimes it's okay and it's healthy to question that authority, not necessarily with the individual, but within our own mind as to what that means and whether that is still relevant to our life in the moment. And if it's not, how we then start to approach that situation to set it free. And it's not always approaching the person who holds the authority. So that's the end of this episode of the Sensitive Mind Show. If you've enjoyed it and you found it helpful, do share it with your friends, and be sure to join me for next week, where I look forward to giving you an alternative perspective on your relationship dilemmas. Bye for now, and let me leave you with this. For more great free content designed to support your purchase of my book, Highly Intuitive People, 7 Right Brain Traits to Change the Lives of Intuitive Sensitive People, please visit finallyfeelunderstood.com. There you can subscribe and download for free the meditation specific to today's episode. If you have already read the book, then it's time for you to receive exclusive access and support from me and your fellow intuitive sensitives as we go deeper together along this proven 7-step path by joining us in my monthly membership program called Heidi's Circle. There you can ask me anything in a safe and private environment, and I will answer you live. Join us today by visiting healmyinnerworld.com.